Let me preface this with saying that this is not a dig at the LGBT community. No, this is simply a situation where two adults, due to a miscommunication, almost had a very, very bad altercation. That was primarily my fault. Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. There's a t-shirt store down below, blah, 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 everything. Let's get on with the video. Now, before I get to the main story, let me give you a little bit of backstory. So I grew up in a Catholic household and went to Catholic school pretty much kindergarten to graduation from high school. I was surrounded by that my entire life. So college was my first foray into the real world. However, I was always taught to be a quote-unquote California Catholic. That means that we were taught that while, yes, homosexuality was a sin, you're not supposed to be a jerk because they're still God's children. So it's like that Bible verse, which I'm sure some of you guys may know. Don't point out the needle in your neighbor's eye when you have a log in your own. You're not supposed to talk about it. Just be respectful to other people. And it was heavily enforced that calling people insults of any kind, especially calling someone gay or calling someone like that, it was just not allowed, and you were dealt with immediately. So as a result, if we were caught calling someone gay, you were heavily dealt with and heavily admonished. And they basically taught that that wasn't right. However, because of this, a lot of us, including me, we weren't exposed to the various slurs towards people of the LGBT community, which is a good thing, but it also almost got my butt kicked. Now, something that I realized recently is between the car community and the LGBT community, there's a lot of crossover when it comes to words. That sounds like a joke, but I'm 100% serious. Shoot, before this main story even pops off, I had a similar experience like a month or so before. It was an eye-opener for me. My worldview was finally starting to open. Now, I went to school in a very liberal part of California, around the Bay Area. And as a result, there was a little bit of a focus on safe spaces, particularly in this one building. I was visiting my friend that lived in quote-unquote the gay floor. Now, I know that sounds bad, but this isn't segregation. This is literally a floor at the top of the building where eventually people of that community kept going to that level, and eventually it got painted with rainbow flags, had a rainbow mural on the wall, all that kind of stuff, and it was viewed as a safe space for people of that background to come together judge-free. Honestly, pretty good thing. This is off topic, but there was also a black floor, but there was no Mexican floor, so once again, we're kind of pushed to the wayside, but then again, I haven't really met another Mexican person that really cared about that kind of stuff, so whatever. Black and white world, everybody. Anyways, this was really the first time I got into cars, and I pretty much looked for an excuse to bring it up whenever. Yeah, no, I know I was that guy. Well, I was up there to see my friend, and well, eventually, I somehow turned the conversation to drag racing, or so I thought. I didn't exactly account for the fact that my friend isn't exactly automotively savvy. You know what I mean? So when I brought up drag racing, they thought I was talking about Rupaul's Drag Race, which is a show about drag queens and has nothing to do with wheel stands or power wheelies or anything like that. So we started talking about it, and for like a good 5 minutes, we were having the same but two completely different conversations. It kind of went a little something like this. But yeah, you know, when I try to relax, I kind of just sit down and I watch a drag race or two. No way, you watch Drag Race? Oh heck yeah, all the time, man, it's great. Oh my gosh, I thought I was the only person here to watch that. Dude, it's so good, right? Totally. I mean, I'm not sure if I'd ever be brave enough to do something like that. Yeah, no, they're incredibly brave for putting themselves out like that. It's amazing. Yeah. Also, I love their outfits. Dude, they're sick, right? Yeah. Crazy how they gotta tuck their dick though. Hold on. That's basically the summary of what happened, and it's to this day, it's still a very funny memory that I hold very near and dear. Unlike the next one, which this video is primarily about. So as I got deeper and deeper into the car community, I thought it was cool to kind of start using the lingo, and as I went deeper, I learned more and more of the lingo. Problem is, I wasn't learning modern lingo, I was learning classic lingo, you know, because a lot of people that are into classic cars are usually older than like 30 years old, and I'm just 18 at the time. And I was in my cringy car guy phase, so whenever I was talking to anybody about cars, I used that lingo probably a little bit too much, so I could sound like I knew what I was talking about. However, once again, since this was all from older folks, I did not take into account that some of this stuff I was learning may not be politically correct. Anyways, I'm talking to my friend on the phone, about some upgrades I wanted to make for my car, which, thinking back on it, I had no feasible way of affording, but I like to dream, so. Anyways, the subject switched to transmission upgrades. I'm sure you car guys know exactly where this is going. So eventually, I wanted to get a new transmission. I wanted to put straight cut gears in a gear vendor's overdrive so I could kind of get that supercharger whine without having a supercharger. The problem was, after watching tutorial after tutorial, I still had no idea how an automatic transmission worked. And I was venting to my buddy about just how difficult they are to understand. Well, anyways, the conversation came to a close, and I ended it with one sentence, one fateful sentence where I was trying to sound cool. I looked at my phone and I said, "Yeah, man, I'll just never understand trannies." Yeah, and this was like late August of 2018 in the Bay Area, so guess what parade was standing right behind me as I said those words? Yeah, no, that's right. With my luck, I had somehow managed to string that sentence in front of a pride parade. Like 1,000 people. Dude, it was like when you say outside to a group of dogs, right? And their heads just snapped and looked directly at me. I swear to God, it sounded like a whip crack. Now, immediately, this very, very tall woman walks up to me. Now, I don't know if she transitioned or she was just an ally, but this lady was tall. Like, she could have played for the Knicks. Anyway, she walks up to me and gives me this look, and she says, "What's that supposed to mean?" Also, I feel like I might add, this doesn't excuse what I just said or what I'm about to say, but I need you to understand, her chest was at like head level for me, and real or fake, I wasn't paying attention to what she was saying. But I look at her, and in my head, I'm just thinking, man, what does this woman have against me not wanting to build a transmission? I'm a idiot. And as I looked around, confused, I realized I was slowly starting to get surrounded by a bunch of people from the parade. And everyone was screaming and calling me bigot and this kind of stuff. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm about to get jumped at a pride parade. Now, this is where any training that I had kind of kicked in. See, I've done martial arts for about 14 years, right? And I trained with both men and women, and I learned that the female equivalent of getting kicked in the balls is getting punched in the chest. So in my head, I'm like, oh boy, I gotta get ready. So I didn't put my hands up or anything like that. I kind of like took a step back, you know, just in case it came to that. But in the process, I kept looking at her face and looking at her boobs over and over again. Bro, I can only imagine what this looked like to everyone else. Because in my head, I was in full survival mode. I'm like, I'm going to punch her right there. But then this girl said, "Oh my gosh, are you looking at her chest?" Which of course caused even more of an uproar. Because how do you respond to that? I couldn't look at her. I had offended this woman, and I wasn't sure if I should say, "Oh no, I'm looking at your chest because I'm a pervert," or "No, I'm looking at your chest in case I gotta punch the shit." And then I was a bigot and a pervert. So I'm standing there, surrounded on all sides by people ready for my blood. And then I realize, wait, what are you guys even mad at me about? So I looked them in the eye and I said, wait, what are you guys even mad at me about? Now, first, everybody's confused because they're looking at me like, is this guy really gonna try to weasel his way out of this? And the first girl, she looks taken aback and she says, well, you called me a tranny. And in my head, I finally made the connection. Tranny is not just slang for a transmission. It is also a horribly offensive slur to transgender people. So I just looked up, I looked her in the eye, and I said, hold on a minute. And I went to pull out my phone. Now, this is probably something that you shouldn't do when stakes are very high, because I didn't think about this till later. It probably looked like I was going for a gun. I pulled up my phone and I showed her that I was a very, very small time automotive YouTuber. Now, at first, I still don't think she believed me, so I decided to take a step further. I showed her my search history, and thank goodness it was not clear. So basically, I showed her that I was looking for parts for my transmission pretty much the whole day. And then I pulled up on Google that the word I used is not just a slur, but I knew it to be slang for transmission. I apologized profusely, and I don't think she forgave me, but it was enough to get everybody off my back going back to their parade. And they left me with a very important lesson. Every time I learn a new word, I gotta make sure it's not a slur for people of the LGBT community. So, that wraps everything up. That was a heck of a story. I wasn't sure if I should tell it, but I figured, you know what, might as well say it anyways, because this channel's dying. And honestly, I think it's just a very funny story about how some miscommunication can get you jumped. So remember, if you liked the video, remember to like, comment, subscribe. If you have any similar stories, leave them down below. I can already tell that this is going to be a very controversial video. But what's done is done. I hope you guys have a great day. Peace.